My mom hid my daughter's luggage and told everyone she wasn't coming on the trip, then looked me dead in the eye and said, "Maybe next year if she learns her place." The whole family froze, my daughter started crying, and I said, "Pack it all, we're leaving now." I was standing in the middle of my mother's living room in Henderson, Nevada, staring at the empty spot where my daughter's pink suitcase had been just an hour earlier. My mother leaned against the doorway like she'd been waiting for me to finally notice. Her arms were crossed, her expression flat, almost bored, like this was some routine inconvenience instead of the explosion she had just lit under my family. "She's not going," she said. Not raised voice, not sharp, just cold. "Maybe next year, if she learns her place." For a second I didn't fully process the words. My brain snagged on the casual way she said learns her place, like my 11-year-old was some stray dog she needed to break. The air conditioning hummed behind us, and the desert heat pressed against the windows, but all I felt was this sudden drop inside my stomach, like falling straight down an elevator shaft. "Where's her luggage?" I asked. My voice came out too soft, too controlled. I could feel something ugly rising under it. She smiled, a tiny twitch at the corner of her mouth. "Put away, she won't need it. You and the boys can go without her." I could hear my daughter breathing behind me, the thin, tight breaths of a kid trying hard not to cry. She kept glancing at the hallway where Grandma had dragged her suitcase earlier, before shutting the door behind her like, she owned every inch of this house and everyone inside it. My sons hovered near the kitchen, frozen, unsure if stepping closer would help or make everything worse. I walked forward until I was inches from my mother. "You're going to bring me her bag," I said. "Now." She didn't move. She didn't even blink. "You think you can threaten me in my own home? Your daughter disrespected me. I'm not rewarding that behavior with a trip to San Diego. She needs consequences." My jaw locked so hard it hurt. The disrespect she was talking about was my daughter refusing to rub lotion on her feet last night because it felt weird. That was it. That was the whole crime. And my mother, who'd always demanded obedience from me growing up, who'd always measured love by compliance, had apparently decided to extend the same twisted logic to her granddaughter. "This isn't discipline," I said. "This is cruelty." She tilted her head, studying me like she was disappointed. "You're too soft. That girl walks all over you. I'm helping you." Behind me, my daughter made this tiny choking sound, and that was it. Something in me snapped clean in half. I stepped back and said louder, "Kids, go wait in the car." My mother's eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me." I didn't take my eyes off her. "Go, now," the boys hustled out. My daughter lingered, trembling, until I nodded, and she hurried toward the front door without looking at her grandmother. Once the door shut behind them, I turned back to my mother. The quiet in the room felt thick, electric. She still thought she had the upper hand. She thought this was another one of those moments where she could dictate reality and I'd swallow it, the way I did my entire childhood. But not this time. "You're going to give me the bag," I said. "Or I'm walking through this house and finding it myself." Her smile vanished. "You're not going anywhere. You want that suitcase, then you're going to—" I cut her off. "No, I'm done." She opened her mouth again, but I didn't let her speak. I pushed past her, heading straight for the hallway, and that's when she grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. And that's when everything blew open. The moment her fingers clamped around my arm, all the years I'd spent trying to believe my mother had changed just fell away. Her nails dug in, sharp and familiar, the same way they had when I was a kid in Elko, and she dragged me back to whatever chore I hadn't done properly. Or whatever rule I'd broken without realizing it. My body reacted before my mind did, my chest tightened, my throat closed, and for a second I was 12 again, standing in a narrow hallway with nowhere to go. I yanked my arm free, and she looked stunned that I'd even tried. "You don't walk away from me," she said. It wasn't loud, but it was full of that old certainty, her belief that authority was something she was, not something she earned. And that was the thread that connected everything she'd ever done. The first fracture between us happened when I was 9. My dad had taken me to a softball game, and we stopped for McDonald's afterward. When we got home, she accused me of choosing sides. She said if I really loved her, I would have refused the food because she'd made dinner. It didn't matter that dinner had been a pot of beans she'd forgotten on the stove until they burned. It didn't matter that Dad was only trying to do something normal and fun with his kid. She slammed my bedroom door so hard the frame split, then didn't speak to me for 2 days, waiting for me to apologize for hurting her. The second pivotal moment was senior year of high school. I'd been accepted to UNR with a small scholarship. I told her one night after work, expecting maybe not pride, but at least acknowledgement. Instead, she said, "Don't embarrass yourself, you're not college material, and don't expect me to help with your mess when you fail." She said it while folding towels, like she was commenting on the weather. I remember feeling something slide out of place inside me, like she'd reached in and turned a dial that wasn't meant to be touched. I went anyway, and she didn't speak to me for almost a year. The third break came after my daughter was born. My mother held her for maybe 60 seconds before handing her back like she was something delicate she didn't want to be responsible for. But 2 weeks later, she called out of nowhere, furious. "A baby needs structure," she snapped. "Why haven't you brought her to see me?" I told her I wasn't traveling with a newborn yet. She told me I was dramatic, selfish, and ungrateful. That was her favorite word, ungrateful, like she'd built me brick by brick and I owed her rent just for existing. She'd improved slightly when the boys were born, or at least I thought she had. She was more involved, more helpful, more gentle. Enough that I convinced myself the edges had softened. I wanted family for my kids. I wanted the childhood I didn't get to finally stop repeating itself. But then last year, during Thanksgiving, my daughter spilled cranberry sauce on the tablecloth, and my mother snapped at her so viciously that the entire room went still. "Clumsy girls grow into useless women," she said. And even though I confronted her, even though she apologized, something in my daughter's face haunted me. I told myself it was just a moment, just a slip. I see now it wasn't a slip. It was who she'd always been. So standing in her hallway with my arm throbbing, realizing she'd hidden an 11-year-old's luggage to teach her a lesson, the past aligned perfectly with the present. The pattern was unmistakable. And this time, I wasn't the child she could corner. Something shifted inside me, the final, irreversible break. When I pulled my arm away from her in that hallway, something steadier than fear took over. It wasn't confidence. I wasn't anywhere near that yet. It was clarity. A sharp, almost metallic awareness that if I didn't change the script right now, my daughter would grow up replaying the same emotional patterns I'd spent decades trying to unlearn. My mother stood there expecting the same reaction she'd always gotten: retreat, apology, silence. Instead, I walked past her. My heart hammered so violently I could hear it in my ears, but each step felt like I was reclaiming something I hadn't realized was still lost. She followed me down the hallway, her voice rising. "You do not go through my things. You hear me? You do not." But she'd already said the quiet part out loud earlier. Learn her place. That sentence sat in my mind like a weight, anchoring every move I made. The hallway was dark except for a sliver of afternoon sun leaking through the blinds at the far end. Her guest room door, the one she'd dragged the suitcase into, was shut. I reached for the knob. She slapped her hand over mine. "Don't you dare!" I looked at her hand, the tendons tight beneath the skin, then I looked at her face. The same expression she used to wear when she'd corner me as a kid, the one that said everything was a power struggle and she was entitled to win. And I realized she didn't fear losing control. She feared anyone else having it. "Move," I said. When she didn't, I removed her hand myself. My fingers trembled, but I made sure she saw the resolve behind them. The guest room smelled like cedar and dust. She'd put the suitcase on the top shelf of the closet, where my daughter couldn't reach it. My throat tightened, not from fear, but from anger so deep it felt ancestral. This wasn't about lotion on her feet. This wasn't even about the trip. This was about my mother seeing a young girl with a voice and deciding to extinguish it before it grew any bigger. I grabbed the suitcase and walked back into the hallway. My mother stepped in front of me, blocking the exit. "You think you're protecting her," she said, "but you're ruining her. She's already entitled just like you, thinks she deserves everything handed to her. Well, not in my house. Not under my roof. Then we won't be under your roof anymore." Her eyes sharpened. "Don't threaten me. It's not a threat." I shifted the suitcase in my hand. "It's a decision." The words surprised both of us. They felt too big, too final. But the moment they left my mouth, I knew they were true. I brushed past her again, this time without hesitation. She didn't follow right away. She was recalibrating, adjusting her tactics, the way she always did when a battle didn't go the way she expected. She always did. As I stepped into the living room, I felt the adrenaline hit its peak, this buzzing under my skin that made everything brighter and more fragile at the same time. I wasn't just fighting with my mother anymore. I was standing up to the years she'd spent shaping me into someone small. I was done being small. I was halfway to the front door when I heard her voice behind me, calmer, smooth, calculating. The tone she used when she was about to twist the knife. "You really think she's innocent in all this?" I froze, suitcase gripped tight. "What are you talking about?" I asked. She walked toward me slowly, deliberate, controlled. "There's something you don't know," she said. "About your daughter, about what she told me last night." Her expression shifted into something almost triumphant, and that's when she dropped the first bombshell. My mother stopped a few feet from me, crossing her arms like she was delivering a verdict she'd been rehearsing. "Your daughter came to me last night," she said. "She told me something you clearly can't handle." My stomach tightened. "What did she say?" She gave me this pitying look that wasn't pity at all, it was satisfaction. "She told me she's scared of you." I felt the floor shift beneath me. "What?" "She said you shout, that you lose your temper. That she never knows what you're going to be like from one day to the next." My mother tilted her head. "Sound familiar?" A heat crawled up my neck. It wasn't shame, it was disbelief. I pictured my daughter last night, brushing her hair after her shower, humming under her breath. She'd been tired, quiet, ready for bed. There had been no conversation with my mother, no moment alone long enough for anything like this. "You're lying," I said. She lifted her eyebrows. "She told me you make her feel responsible for your stress, that you collapse on her emotionally the way I supposedly did to you." She emphasized the word like it was a joke. "She said she feels unsafe." I shook my head slowly, because hearing those words come out of her mouth felt unreal. "My daughter would never say that to you." "Oh, she did," my mother insisted. "Kids tell the truth to the adults who actually hold them accountable." I stared at her, at the hard satisfaction in her eyes, the way she leaned forward just enough to press the point deeper. And then it clicked so fast, so violently that my breath caught. "She didn't tell you that," I said quietly. "You told her that, you fed her those words." My mother didn't blink, but the corners of her mouth twitched, just slightly, the way they always did when she was caught and pretending she was. "You coached her," I said. "You asked leading questions and then filled in the rest." She shrugged. "I asked how things were at home. She cried. Kids don't cry when everything's fine." "She cried because you cornered her," I snapped. "Because you've been pushing her since the moment we got here." My mother gave me a condescending little smile. "She's a sensitive child, like you were, always imagining slights. Always convinced someone was hurting you when really you just couldn't handle structure." She stepped closer. "She needs someone strong in her life, someone who won't let her manipulate her way out of consequences." My grip tightened on the suitcase handle until my knuckles burned. And then, like she'd been waiting for the perfect moment, my mother delivered the real blow. "She told me she wishes she lived with me instead of you." It felt like being punched through the ribs. For half a second, my vision blurred. She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather, but I could feel the precision behind it. That sentence was designed to break me open, to make me question myself, question my daughter, question every moment I'd spent trying to undo the damage this woman had done to me. My voice came out low. "No, she didn't say that." "She did." My mother's eyes burned with triumph. "And honestly, I believe her, she'd be better off." A coldness spread through me, slow, deep, settling into bone. This wasn't discipline. This wasn't about the lotion, the suitcase, or the trip. This was a custody fantasy, a power grab, a rewriting of history where she was finally the hero. And in that moment, something inside me solidified. I wasn't just taking my daughter's suitcase back. I was taking everything back. I walked out of her house without another word, my mother still standing in the living room with that smug, carved-into-stone expression she wore whenever she thought she'd won. Outside, the heat hit me like a wall, but it felt cleaner than the air inside her house, less suffocating, less shaped by her narrative. My kids were in the car. My boys looked worried, whispering between themselves. My daughter sat rigid in the backseat, staring straight ahead, fists balled in her lap. When I opened the door, her eyes flicked up to mine. They were wet but hard, bracing. "Did Grandma say I can go now?" she asked. I shook my head. "No." "We're leaving," she swallowed, confused. "Are we still going to San Diego?" "Yes," I said, "all of us." Her breath released like she'd been holding it for hours. I put the suitcase in the trunk, got behind the wheel, and started driving without a plan, just distance. Distance from that house, from her voice, from the twisting lies she tried to plant like seeds. After 10 minutes, when the tightness in my chest eased just enough to think straight, I pulled into the empty lot of a closed-strip mall and parked. The kids watched me, waiting. "Did Grandma say something to you last night?" I asked my daughter softly. She shook her head. "No, she just kept saying I act like you, and then she said girls who act like you always end up alone." Her voice cracked. I didn't know what that meant. It hit me like a hot wave, shame, fury, grief, all braided together. None of what my mother claimed had come from my daughter, not a single word. I reached back and held her hand. "You did nothing wrong." Her chin trembled. "I didn't say any of those things." "I know," I said, and I did, more deeply than anything I'd ever known. While the kids talked quietly among themselves, I stared at the dash, my breath slowing, shifting from panic into calculation. I knew my mother. I knew how she worked. Every accusation she'd made was crafted to destabilize me, to push me back into the frightened daughter she used to control. But the thing she misjudged, the thing she always misjudged, was that I wasn't alone anymore. I had 3 children who were watching how I handled this, listening, learning. If I backed down, if I let her rewrite reality, then the next time she decided my daughter needed lessons, she'd escalate. That's who she was. She'd already started crossing lines she'd never crossed with the boys, because she didn't want another girl in this family growing up with a spine. So I started forming the plan. Step 1, documentation. Every detail of what she'd done, the hidden luggage, the fabricated confession, the manipulation, needed to be written down, dated, organized. Step 2, boundaries, real ones. Not the soft kind I used to try, the kind she'd bulldoze with a single guilt-loaded sentence. These would be legal, enforced, and unambiguous. Step 3, witnesses. I needed someone outside my head, someone she couldn't gaslight, who could confirm the pattern. My brother, maybe. My aunt in Reno. Anyone who had seen pieces of her behavior and pretended it wasn't their business. They were going to talk this time. Step 4, cut off, total, clean. No visits, no calls, no influence. And if she tried to push her way back into our lives, if she escalated, then I would escalate too. There were recordings I'd saved for years. Texts, messages, things I'd never intended to use. But now they were leverage. A slow calm settled into me, the kind that comes right before a storm breaks. For the first time in decades, the power dynamic wasn't tilted in her direction. It was shifting, cell by cell, breath by breath. Across the car, my daughter watched me, hope flickering behind the fear. This wasn't just about a trip anymore. This was about reclaiming the entire narrative of our family. And I knew exactly what I needed to do next. I thought I had the situation contained, volatile, yes, but still something I could redirect, manage, strategize around. That illusion lasted exactly 3 hours. We were already on the I-15 heading southwest, the kids quieted by snacks and the promise of finally getting to the hotel that evening, when my phone buzzed. I ignored it at first. Then it buzzed again. And again. Rapid fire. Too many times to be anyone but her. I didn't answer, but I glanced at the notifications lighting up the screen. Missed call, mom voicemail, mom text message, mom another voicemail, mom then one more call came in, but this one wasn't her. It was my brother. That alone chilled me. I picked up. "Hey, we're on the road. What's going on?" His voice came through tight, urgent. "What did you do?" My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "What did I do?" He exhaled like he was bracing for impact. "Mom just called me sobbing, hysterical, said you took the kids and disappeared, said you threatened her, said you shoved her into a wall." My pulse hammered. "What?" She said she's considering calling CPS. "She said the kids aren't safe with you right now." I felt the air leave my lungs. For a moment, the highway blurred at the edges like heat rising off asphalt. "She's lying," I said. "You know she's lying." "I do," he said quickly. Too quickly, like he wanted to believe it but wasn't sure he could. But she also sounded, I don't know, off, unhinged, and she told me she already called someone. Cold spread through me like oil poured into water. She called CPS? My voice sounded far away. She said she reported a concern, whatever that means. He hesitated. She said you were screaming at the kids, that your daughter begged her for help and you snatched her away. My daughter, hearing her name in the conversation, sat up straighter in the backseat. The boys froze. She's escalating, I said. She's trying to flip the narrative before I can. My brother lowered his voice like he was afraid someone might hear him through the phone. She told me something else. She said she has proof. My stomach dropped. Proof of what? That you've been emotionally unstable for years, that you've broken down around the kids before, that she's kept messages documenting it. I closed my eyes for a second, just long enough for dread to sweep through me like a tide. My mother did keep things, screenshots out of context, notes written during arguments, half-truths recorded like fact, not because she cared about truth, but because she anticipated someday needing ammunition. She'd been building a case against me long before this trip, and now she was using it. I pulled off at a rest stop and parked, hands trembling as I turned to face the kids. Stay in the car, I told them softly. I just need a minute. My brother's voice cut back in. She's planning something. I don't know exactly what, but she said she won't let another girl in this family be ruined by weak parenting. My entire body went still. Another girl in this family. Me, my daughter. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. This was a full-scale attempt to rewrite history so she could justify stepping in, taking control, maybe even taking custody. I pressed the phone to my forehead, forcing myself to breathe. Okay, I said. Listen to me carefully. What? Whatever Mom told you, she's about to make this bigger. She's not just lying, she's staging something. She wants to be seen as the savior, the stable one. He was silent for a long, weighted moment. Then there's something else I didn't tell you, he said quietly. She already filed something with the county court, emergency petition. My heart slammed into my ribs. What kind of petition? He swallowed. I could hear it. For temporary custody. The world went silent. My mother hadn't just snapped. She prepared for this. She'd been preparing for years. And I realized with absolute clarity that my retaliation plan wasn't a shield anymore. It was the bare minimum for survival. I stayed in that rest stop parking lot for almost a full minute without moving, the same sentence echoing inside my skull. Temporary custody. My mother had gone from emotional manipulation to legal warfare without blinking. And the worst part wasn't the shock, it was how unsurprised some part of me felt. Like I'd always known she was capable of this, but I'd spent years convincing myself she wouldn't cross that final line. My brother was still on the phone. What do you want me to do? He asked. I'll handle it, I said, because I didn't trust him not to fold under her pressure if I gave him any role beyond staying out of the way. And do not tell her where we are. He agreed, uneasy. I hung up and stepped out of the car, leaning against the door, facing the hot wind rolling across the pavement in waves. The desert stretched out wide and empty, and for a moment it matched the hollow, sick feeling in my chest. I needed answers, not speculation, not years of patterns strung together into guesses. I needed to know why she'd escalated like this. Why now? Why my daughter? So I called her. She answered on the first ring, voice sharp and too steady, her performance voice. The one she used when she wanted the world to believe she was the reasonable one. Are you ready to talk like an adult? She asked. I ignored the jab. Did you file for temporary custody? She let out a soft breath, almost relieved. Finally, yes, I did. Someone had to protect those kids. I closed my eyes. Protect them from what? From you, she said simply, as if it were the clearest truth in the world. You're unraveling. You've been unraveling for years, and everybody sees it. You lash out, you panic, you cry in front of them, you make them responsible for your moods. I will not let another child, especially a girl, grow up under that kind of instability. My jaw tightened. You think taking them from their mother is stability? She didn't hesitate, not even a beat. If the mother is inadequate, yes. I felt something cold slide through me, settling deep. You think I'm inadequate because I stand up to you? No, she said sharply. You're inadequate because you became everything I tried to prevent. Her tone shifted, lower, intimate, like she was finally saying something she'd held in for decades. I raised you to be controlled, to be disciplined, to be respectful, but you were always defiant, always emotional, always weak, and now your daughter is exactly the same. My heart thudded once hard. She is strong, I said. She is wild, she corrected, and she will get worse under you. She already disrespects adults. She refuses basic instructions. She cries when she doesn't get her way. She lies. She doesn't lie. She lies the same way you did, my mother hissed. And I won't watch another girl turn into a woman who can't keep her life together. My throat tightened. This isn't about her. This is about you rewriting me. That landed. I heard the faint crack in her breathing. A shift. Then her voice sharpened like glass. I should have taken you when you were her age, she said. Your father ruined you. He made you soft. He let you talk back, let you question me, let you believe you were equal to adults. If I had taken you then, you wouldn't have grown into this. A chill rippled through me, head to spine. You wanted custody of me. For your own good, she said, calm again, controlled. And I'm not losing the chance to correct the damage with your daughter. Not this time. There it was, the real reason, not discipline, not concern, not protection, control, correction, ownership. She didn't want my daughter. She wanted a second attempt at raising me. She wanted to fix the version of me she believed my father ruined, and she was willing to tear my entire life apart to get the do-over. A slow, terrifying clarity filled me. She hadn't filed that emergency petition out of instability. She filed it with absolute, chilling purpose. And now that I finally understood her motive with brutal precision, I knew exactly how far I'd have to go to stop her. I hung up on her mid-sentence, not out of anger, out of certainty. Her voice, her logic, her delusion, all of it finally clicked into a single, horrifying pattern. She hadn't lost control. She'd been tightening her grip for years, waiting for the moment she thought she could take something from me she could mold into the daughter she wished she'd raised. She thought she knew me so well. She had no idea what I would do when cornered. I got back in the car, buckled in, and pulled onto the highway with a calm so clean it felt surgical. Revenge wasn't an impulse now. It was the only rational outcome. First, I called a friend of mine in Reno, an attorney I'd gone to school with, the one person I trusted to be blunt and fast when everything was falling apart. She answered on the second ring. I need emergency counsel, I said, and I need to file first. I told her everything, every detail, every documented instance of manipulation, every text, every recording, every time my mother had turned parenting into psychological warfare. My friend listened without interrupting, then said, "Get to a hotel. Email me everything you have. I'll file a counterpetition for immediate protection and a cease contact order." Tonight, while the kids watched a movie on their tablets, I sat at the edge of the hotel bed in Barstow, sending files, screenshots, voice memos. My hands shook, but not from fear, adrenaline, focus, precision. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was building a case. When I was done, I called my brother. "You need to hear something," I said. "Not for me, for yourself." And I played him the last 30 seconds of my call with our mother, her saying she should have taken me at 11, that she was coming for my daughter to correct the damage. When the recording ended, he didn't speak for almost a full minute. Then he whispered, "Jesus, I didn't know it was like that." "You do now," I said, "and if she contacts you, you're a witness, you tell the truth." He agreed, quiet, shaken, changed. The legal filing went through at 11:42. My friend called to confirm. "She can't contact you or the kids," she said, "and if she tries anything else, the court will see her pattern clearly. You just beat her to the punch." But the real revenge, the part that left my mother with no oxygen to rewrite the story, came the next morning. I sent her a single text. "You will not contact me or my children again. A petition has been filed. Everything you said is recorded. You won't get another chance to rewrite me." She didn't respond. But I watched the read receipt appear, and I knew she felt the one thing she hated more than being wrong, being powerless. By afternoon, my brother texted me that she'd collapsed into one of her silent rages. No tears, no theatrics, just pacing the house, muttering that I'd ruined the plan. She'd expected me to panic, to crumble, to run back apologizing so she could swoop in as the savior. Instead, I'd taken away her audience, her script, her authority, and her access. Forever. The kids and I made it to San Diego that evening. They swam in the hotel pool under soft white lights, laughing like nothing had happened. My daughter clung to me twice, quick, fierce hugs like she needed to confirm I was still here, still choosing her, still hers. Later, when they were asleep, I stood on the balcony overlooking the dark water. The air smelled like salt and hotel laundry detergent. Clean, untangled. My mother might never understand what she lost, what she destroyed, what she tried to steal, but for the first time I didn't care. The grip she'd had on me since childhood had finally shattered. My daughter slept in the next room, safe, whole, untouched by the woman who wanted to remake her. And all I could think was this: my mother taught me how to survive her. But she never expected I'd learn how to stop her.